Life is boring. Today's talk is about how boring life is. If I told you, go try to do something impossible, you know, but why would we do something impossible? Because that's like impossible and scary, and I'd be afraid, and I can't try. And I was reflecting on that when Prabhupada was with us, the idea of possible, impossible, just kind of was off our radar. It's just, this is what Prabhupada wanted, so the more impossible it was, the more excited we get. He goes, Jai, let's do it. And if you read Shyama Sundar's book, he was very much in that mood, and that's why he called it Chasing Rhinos. Rhino, shoot the rhino. You can never kill a rhino, but you can try. It's impossible, but let's try for the impossible. And so he very much was excited about doing what was impossible, that he knew in Prabhupada's association it would be possible. He just couldn't figure out at the time how it would happen, how everything would fall into place. But he was excited to try. And Prabhupada used to say, my disease is I want to do everything big. And so Prabhupada would give his big plans and like, how are we going to do this? But it was exciting. So impossible is exciting. So the moral of today's video is, why don't you go out and do something impossible today? Or tomorrow at the latest. And see yourself light up just in trying. Like a lot of times when devotees go on book distribution and they're very reluctant or mental or some problem is there, they're not into it. I say, just go out and try to do the impossible. You know, if you're reluctant to distribute one book, then give somebody 5. Because it throws you off into another universe. Like, I can't even give him 1. How could I give him 5? Give him 5, see what happens. Here, sir, it's Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charita, Nectar of Instruction, and Krishna book, all for you today because I love you. You're so wonderful, and these books are going to make you so happy. Then all of a sudden he takes it, and you're like, oh my God, that's amazing, and you become so ecstatic. The first times we distributed Krishna book was, I believe it was 1970. No one in ISKCON could even conceptualize distributing a Krishna book, because why would anyone want a Krishna book? Because they're not Krishna devotees. Only Krishna devotees want Krishna books. And I said, today, we will do the impossible. We will take Krishna books and show them to people. And all the devotees said, but we'll never sell a book. I said, I know we won't sell, but let's do the impossible. Let's just show them. And all the devotees said, that'll be fun. You know, so we were convinced no one would buy a book. But, you know, in the back of our mind, what if? And so we were just happy showing the book because we thought, this is impossible. Nobody's going to take the book. And so it was so enlivening to show them the book because while we're showing the book, we're thinking, I'm doing something impossible right now. Right? So we're showing the book. On that day, everyone's showing the book. People are like, yeah, thank you. No, I'll just take a magazine, 25 cents, give you a magazine. And so we all come back after a Sankirtan going house to house, and 2 devotees come in and they say, I sold a Krishna book. And we're like, no way. You couldn't have. Like, yeah, I did. And we were sitting in the van. I remember this. It was only like 49 years ago. And I remember this. We're banging on the walls of the van. We could not believe it. So that's the happiness you get in trying to do something that's impossible. And so you just have to reframe it. Try to do the impossible. It's fun. It's fun to do the impossible. And it's especially fun when you actually do it and you can't believe you did it. And life's exciting. So preaching is a little bit like that. You know, think of some things that may be a little impossible. The last thing I want to say, I heard a speaker speak about this, and he said, you know, they talk about goals which you make goals which you can achieve. You know, they have a system, I forget what they call it. You know, it's some of you know that, but one of the aspects of the goal is it should be achievable. And he said, no, don't make a goal that's achievable, because if it's achievable, it's like, well, anybody can do it, you know, it's not exciting. He said, make a goal that you don't think is achievable. That's exciting. And he said, the reason is it stretches you. If I know I can reach this goal, it doesn't stretch me. But if I have this impossible goal, then I think, how am I going to do this? This is like impossible. So I start thinking out of the box. I put more energy into it. I think, who could do this project we need to get this person and that person. Does anybody know this actor? Does anyone know this musician? Does anybody know this reporter? And you start using energies and resources you wouldn't normally use to reach the achievable goal. So he was on that wavelength, and he described in his life how he did many amazing things because they were impossible. And sometimes he would coach people to do impossible things, and he would say, you should do this. And they'd say, that's impossible. And he'd say, great, that's what I want. Something impossible. And he said a lot of times, impossible things happen because they had to figure out how to do the impossible. So I would suggest thinking about the impossible is quite enlivening. And what to speak if you actually do it. And if you fail, as Prabhupada said, well, everyone will say, well, that was impossible. We knew you couldn't do it. So nothing to be embarrassed about. But if you do it, everyone will say, oh my Govinda, that's amazing. How did you do that? Hare Krishna.